Yes, sir. It's been a minute since you guys heard that music. Welcome back to the show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcasts. I am Justin, here with Meelz. What's good, Meelz?
Hey, how about this? Konnichiwa.
You learned a new word.
I hope you learned a bunch of new words. I would love to reach into our Japanese demographic with this show. What's up, man?
That's what they say in every store.
What is it? What does that mean?
It's like the formal way of saying thank you or thank you. I think it's like
It's not like hurry up and buy.
No. They don't do that out there. They don't do that out there. I will say that they don't do that out there. But um we've had a long layover. I took a vacation, and I gotta be clear, and I'm gonna say this on every show because the thing is, I would come back the week where I have every single show that I have to record this week. But I this is the first time in my life in the past half of a decade that I didn't record anything for 2 weeks or for a
I'm
week.
glad.
Yeah, it's really it was weird. It was different. I did get antsy. I did feel like I wasn't doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it was really wild for me to kind of detach for a week and some change like that.
But I do feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like we should, and not, I don't want to scare any of the listeners. I do feel like we should do it more. Just basically, like, sometimes we need to plug out and plug back in, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes the Wi-Fi is a little bit too, everything is throttling it. There's so much news, there's so much shit that we pretend to worry about, there's so much stuff we actually worry about. Like, I think of, like, if we did the show over the, I mean, if we did the show over the last 3 weeks, that shit would have been awesome. But because everything that the
I
wrestling world is not the same when
I
we left it
I
as we coming
fucking
back.
I fucking knew that some crazy shit was gonna happen, and then all the crazy shit happened. Literally, the fucking I'm at the airport. The Jade stuff is coming out. I'm at
Listen,
the
man.
airport, Meelz, and I'm like, oh damn, I'm on the way out. It was almost like fate was like, don't worry about it, pal. They're gonna take care of it for you.
Yeah. Well, listen, I feel, I'll say in these 2 weeks, I have been able to work on some other stuff and, like, build up some stuff for have our 6th anniversary soon, which I think is sometime next month, actually.
Gee.
Um, we have just a bunch of things. I've been working on stuff for Lookout. I've been working on stuff in my own job. I'm working on myself. I've been doing a whole bunch of other things. So I feel like, listen, 2 weeks, it's really I mean, we were off for 2 weeks. We've not spoken to each other long form in 3 weeks.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like, you know what? We got a refresh conversation. I feel like we got perspective. Again, no idea if we had picked any other 3 weeks, like, what the fuck would have happened? But of course, he picked the 3 weeks where the company changes their name, they fire a bunch of people, and they hire a bunch of people. So, um, it's been a fascinating thing. I do want to know, though, before we get into it, because I still want to know.
Mhm.
I feel like the people deserve to know, and I feel like you're going to tell a lot of people on Black Print, but I want to know first. Japan.
Well, you're
I
gonna know.
need I need experiences. I need Tell me probably the best experience you had in your trip there. And how long were you there, by the way?
Well, I was there extra day because my flight got delayed for like half of a day, so I was there like an extra day. So I
That
was there.
shit means nothing because it's like time traveling when you go to
Yeah,
Japan.
I did Thursday twice. So like I left at like 6 p.m. Thursday, and I got back home at 4 p.m. on Thursday. It's insane. Like I literally passed out. Like me and my wife just passed the fuck out. But
Mm.
my best experience was really just seeing the culture, man. Like really just standing out there, soaking it all in. And I mean, with the first time you walk out there and you just see everything, it's like it's really just kind of unbelievable. I think Japan is like something where almost like it was when I moved to California. It was like it's one of those things where it's like it's attainable, it's reachable, but a lot of people don't think that it is. You know what I'm saying? And I took it in as a moment to say like, wow, Justin, like you deserve this, and this is something you've always wanted to do, and just really just go have fun with it, and all of my anxieties and stuff like that went away after that, and yeah, man, it was the shopping probably was my favorite part. I mean, you don't go to Japan without buying shit. I bought like 2 pairs of shoes, I bought hella clothes. The reason I had to buy hella clothes though was because it was so fucking hot out there. It was
Mm.
hot. It was hot as hell out there. It was 90 degrees temperature, 90% humidity. So it was almost like walking into a microwave every time you went outside, and it did not let up. It was at like 90 degrees at 8 a.m. out there. So like the reason I actually had to buy more clothes is because every t-shirt that I was wearing that I brought out there would be fucking ruined by 7 p.m. And you have to walk
Um,
everywhere in Japan. Like Japan is a walkable ass, train taking ass city. I was on the train. You probably be mad as hell at the amount of times I was on the train going back and forth because I fucking hated doing the train in New York, but I loved it in Japan.
Listen, no one likes to train in New York. I live here and we don't like to train in New York. So I'd imagine any other transit system is better than New York's transit system. So that's what I imagine for sure.
Mhm.
Um, how was television?
Hey man, listen, and this is big anime talk, big lookout talk. Shout out to the lookout. Shout out to everybody up there. I was in the lookout Discord heavy when I was out there. Like, what is this? What's this show? But no, they still value animated entertainment blocks out there. Saturday morning,
Mm,
I was lucky to be there Saturday morning to see just how big of a deal that was, right? So, Saturday morning, because my time was lopsided, me and my wife would wake up at like 3 a.m. every day and just be up. Like just because like we would fall asleep at like 7 and be up by 3 because that's just
nice.
it was awful. It was awful, I'm telling you. But they still had blocks of animation. Like they would play what's that anime with the kid with the glasses, like Top Secret or something like that? He's like a detective or something.
I have no. Is it case closed? What the fuck?
Case
I
closed.
don't.
That's what it is. I think it's called Case Closed. Let me Google that.
I'm almost sure it's case closed because you
Closed.
said something with a detective. That's
He's a
crazy.
kid.
I know it now. Look at me.
Oh yeah, Great Detective Conan. That's what it was called. They play that
Okay.
over there. They still play that. So like that starts the morning off. They play Case Closed throughout the fucking day. It has its own like Shonen Jump section in the Shonen Jump store. I was like, bro, what? Like it's a big deal out there. But I think it was like the second episode or the episode after I think Luffy went Gear 5 or something like that on One
Yeah,
Piece.
it's a big deal.
I'm telling you, Meals, I've never seen anything like it. There was no commercial for anything else that had to do that did not have to do with One Piece. You saw the commercial for the DLC for the fucking card game or the mobile game, the PS5 game, the card game proper. The McDonald's meal had a commercial. The motherfucking Netflix thing had a commercial. They played those commercials every time the show went to a commercial. And I'm gonna tell you right now, did nothing happen in that fucking episode. I'm just gonna be clear. He fucking the big punch came down and he was just in the air. That's literally the only thing I had no clue. I had no clue what was going on in the show because obviously, like there's no English subtitle. At least on the hotel TV, there was no English subtitle option. So I'm just like looking at it like we just literally my wife was even watching. We were just literally looking at it like, yeah, this is what they do out here. But no, it was One Piece that came on. It was like Pokemon
Mm,
that come on. All of that came on from 8 a.m. to like 1, and then they started playing regularly scheduled programming. There was a TV network that played American movies with sometimes had Japanese voiceovers, but sometimes had American dubbing or American voices with Japanese subs. So they played Mission Impossible 2 out there with American voice acting with Japanese subs. It was fucking crazy.
I like that. That's cool. That's an interesting. You know, I don't
But
know.
even
I feel
more,
like this
even
country
more
is
than
so.
that, even
This country's
we're
trash.
bro, we are definitely not clean over there. But but more so than anything, like Japan is a lot more American than you think. Like the way that the cashiers at the stores are able to flip from American to Japanese and vice versa is so crazy. I was in the Pokemon store, which insane. It's in the Parco in Shibuya. I don't think it's the biggest one though. I think there was another one elsewhere that's bigger than that. I think it's Osaka. I think it's the biggest one.
Mm.
Um, so like the first time I went, I had no clue what where we were at, and I had always wanted to go to the Parco, but I didn't realize. Like me and my wife were just walking that first day. We were just walking around. Probably the worst way to experience a fucking new place. We were just walking around. We went to this mall. We keep going up the stairs, up, 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 up. And the seventh floor, I realized where we were, but that shit looked like Macy's Black Friday in that bitch from the 1994s, like from the 90s. Like it was insane. The Nintendo store Meals is right next to the Pokemon store. So it's literally a log jam of people just trying to get in and out of that bitch. So we ended up having to, because we had to get gifts for people, and then I wanted to get gift. I got you a gift, and I got a couple of my other boys some Pokemon related items. Got Pat some Pokemon related items. Um, we woke up really early on Wednesday, got on the train 9 a.m., waited for the Parco to open. The thing about Japan is that they love lines and they're so respectful about lines. So there were people in a queue waiting
The
for the.
opposite of me. I despise lines, and I will find any way possible to get in front of a line if I don't need to, or not be in a line.
Bro, all
I-
they do in Japan is be in lines. They love lines. Like, but even respectfully going up the escalators, not running up the bitches and shit like that. Like they was respectfully going up the escalators to go up to where they needed to be at. So we hit the Pokemon store, crazy store Meals. You create a T-shirt in there, right? And on the little T-shirt creator, they have every single Pokemon ever made that you can put on the shirt. Every single one.
I can only dream.
It's really dope. It's really dope. It's dope. But again, like I could go.
The
I'll
closest
have
thing we have here in New York City is the Nintendo store, and the Nintendo store is incredibly disappointing.
yes, it's probably yeah. I'm not even gonna even mention what's in the one in Japan. That one is. If I cared about Nintendo merch that much, I would have probably been in heaven. But the Pokemon store was enough for me. Like I got a Riolu plush. That's my favorite.
There you go.
Got me a little Riolu joint. I'm looking at them right now. Um, Yeah, I again, the food is great. I know you're not really big on like seafood and sushi and stuff like that, but even the stuff that wasn't related to that, just like the ramen, it's just clean. Everything out there is just really, really clean. And I think that they value the experience out there. I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned from Japan is just to appreciate the experience. Like they do not want you in the restaurant or the place for more than an hour and a half. And I was like, you know what? We do spend too much time in restaurants, just doing nothing in there. You know what I mean? Like they're like some of the places I went to was like 45 minutes and you got to be out.
Mm.
I was like, word,
That's
but
how it should be. But also, I don't know if you are a good like. Are you a eater and talker? Like, are you a? You could be there having
they
good
don't do
times
that.
for like.
They don't eat and talk
Uh,
out there though. They eat and talk, but within that window, because it's like you still walking, you still got to, you know what I'm saying? I got to see the real hustle and bustle out there in Japan. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like I was there during the weekday when the kids had to go to school. These little people out there going to school on the train, and people in the suits and all that stuff. Like I got to see all of that, and I really appreciated just the way that they maneuver just in public, like on the train. You don't talk on the train. You don't talk on the train. Nobody talks on the train. No one. Everyone's on their phone. Everyone's on
I
their
don't want
phone
to
on the train.
explain New York City trains. New York City train.
Hey,
New York
hey,
City
hey,
train. Someone might spit on you.
yeah, ain't nobody getting light on the, on the Japanese train, bro. Ain't nobody.
Showtime.
Yeah,
Showtime on a
nah.
Japanese train would be nuts.
But what's crazy was like the way that I knew it was okay for me to touch things out there. We was going up the escalator. We're not like okay to touch things, but I was safer. Like I felt okay to touch the rails at times. You know what I'm saying? Like there was we were going up the escalator. There was a subway worker up there who had like
Hmm.
a rag drenched in bleach that was just holding the rag on the rail as it went up.
Come on, man. That's how you do it.
They
That's how
tell
you
you
do it.
on the train, they say, "We clean these trains with antiviral gel. We put antiviral gel on all the rails every hour." And I'd be damned if I didn't see them doing that. Like, literally saw them doing it.
The New York City, different type of gel that be on your handrails over there, man.
But no, man, I'm gonna have Japan. Um, I'm gonna have Japan stories for a while. Okay, I'm gonna have it for
Okay.
a while. I caught some sumo wrestling out there. That's their WWE. Let me tell you right now, Raw comes on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. out there. Well, not even comes on because I didn't find it. I had to actually when I had to. The only way I knew it was coming on was when I went to Discord and y'all was talking about it. So Raw Tuesday 9 a.m., NXT Wednesday 9 a.m., AEW Thursday 9 a.m. That's when y'all was talking about it. When I
Mm.
was at that point of the day. And so I had to catch up on the shows through you guys, obviously, and through the clips. I watched it and caught up with everything through YouTube while I was there for that week. But again, another instance, Meelz, where I actually did not watch the weekly shows. None of them live.
Wow. Didn't watch your friend Dwayne, you got the
Oh,
strike up.
nah, didn't watch it. Didn't watch it, bro. Like I couldn't. Because the thing is, the Rock shit happens. I'm already I'm already there at that point. So I didn't see the Rock stuff until like Saturday. Yeah, I didn't see it till
Wow.
Saturday afternoon. Yeah, because I didn't even my times was all fucked up, so I didn't see it till Saturday.
Okay. I mean, listen, you didn't miss much, apparently. You haven't missed much. We haven't missed much. We know that the people missed us. Shout out to that. Shout out to everyone who's been listening to us and supports us on the A Show over here. Also, want to give a shout out to the War Report for 200 episodes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it ain't just us. So for those of you who talking a bunch of it, there are people before like, oh, War Report's your B show, blah 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 blah. Listen, 200 episodes ain't nothing to 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 just throw aside. That's 200 episodes. That's 200 weeks. That's 200 invested hours, at least. It actually, in War Report's case, probably 400 invested hours. But um, still, very very awesome.
Hmm.
So shout out to those guys. We're also going to have a new episode of Rewriters Room coming up this week. They are rewriting. Get this. Do you want to know what it is?
What is it?
They're rewriting if Sasha Banks and Naomi stayed in WWE, where would we have gone? How would we have
Ah!
been? Oh, a fantasy, a fairy tale, even. Um, and then, of course, you can also listen to currently on our feed. Cyrus and I teamed up. I had an interview with Ilya Dragunov,
Yeah.
NXT. He's coming up NXT No Mercy. He's facing for the NXT Championship this weekend, 8 p.m. Peacock. Um, and we talked to him, and he's like very calm, and like he seems to be very intentional with his words, and I feel like I relate to him because he says he does a lot of things for the feeling of it, um and to evoke a certain feeling from it, and I respect that 100%, and you can clearly see it in his work. So shout out to Ilya Dragunov for being on the A Show. Only real ones have been on the A Show thus far, so you haven't. He's part of illustrious company, and maybe there'll be someone else who we get on the A Show pretty soon. I don't know.
I hope. I hope. I mean, we told this story, and hopefully it can fucking happen. But where do we start? Oh, I want to say I want to send out my love and support. I mean, he obviously knows that he doesn't listen to the show, I don't think. But shout out to Pat Pafifi. He was one of the staff writers on Heels, which just recently um got canceled by Stars over the past couple of hours. Um, not much to say about Stephen Amell. Big doofus hours. And I hope that the things that he did didn't, come down on that show too heavily. But I'm pretty sure that it had to do with, with the strike and streaming is just a crazy world out here. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to everyone in the WGA. They just got that one cleared. And they gotta ratify that. Oh, and apparently Meelz, they won bigger than they've ever won before. I think that the deal that they got is pretty favorable according to
That's
people that.
awesome.
So yeah, shout out to them for that. But I wanted to shout out him for all the work he did on Heel season 1 and season 2. That was his first staff writer job. And he is someone who, when he got that job, he said, Justin, we gotta watch loads of wrestling. So like earlier this year, we were watching Elimination Chamber together. Obviously, we went to Mania together last year and this year.
Hmm.
This is someone who got back into the business through doing this show. And he'll text me like, "What's CM Punk? What's up with this guy?" You know what I mean? Like, because obviously he had to
I
write.
love those texts.
Yeah, he had, but it, even crazier is that he had to help write some of that stuff that Punk was doing on the show. And he always said that when Punk was on the show, he was just a consummate professional, and everybody on the set loved him. So he was giving me some of the heel scoops when the show was
Damn,
filming.
don't tell Meltzer that.
Yeah, I know. But I want to say, like, I keep I it really bothers me when like certain things happen, or when things get canceled and shit like that. And I feel like it's just whack to like, especially in the situation that writers are in right now, and actors are in right now, to be like taking victory laps on shit like this happening. Like I think that every one of those shows that got canceled were staffed and were created and were directed by some really awesome people who deserve their just dues, and who are out of work coming off of a strike. You know what I mean? So like I think that any type of victory laps, or like celebrations for this type of shit is just really corny. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying this because my best friend works on one of these shows, but just I mean shit, I am saying it because one of my best friend works on the show, but also because not only that, I saw how much work he had to put in the writers room. You know what I mean? To do these types of shows. And also another pal of mine, Justin Hillian, who's been on the Black Print a lot. He listens to all of our shows. He's a big fan of us. And everything that we do, the stuff that he does, writing, The Shy, and helping write Snowfall and stuff like that. Like these are like massive productions. And when you lose a job like this, that in some ways is your dream job, that's really hurtful and harmful. So like that, I think that it's just super super whack to have seen people like trying to undercut heels for that, and which I heard season 2 was pretty good. I didn't watch it out of solidarity with Pat, but I just thought it was whack. So I just I wanted to send my love to all the writers and the people that I knew from the heels cast, and from the writers and all that stuff. So yeah.
Shout out to the writers for getting it where you got to get it, and getting it how you live, and keep getting it. That's what I'm saying. You got to keep it. Now hopefully the actors will follow suit. And then I also heard it was a video game industry one.
Yeah, they what happened was is that they ratified to start a strike. They're still negotiating. So they're in the first negotiation. If
um
the negotiations break down here, it will go to
Similar to
strike.
the last one. Right,
Yeah.
right, of
If the
course.
negotiations break down, it would behoove the video game industry to not fuck around, especially with the holidays coming up and with several video games coming down the line in 2024 that still use motion capture actors, voice actors, writers, all of that stuff. Like it would behoove them to fix this as soon as possible, because this is an industry that, much like movies, is ongoing, and it's always moving, and things are always being worked on. They shouldn't fuck around, especially the companies that I saw were involved in it. They shouldn't fuck around with this.
I agree.
So what do you want to talk about?
What is there to talk about? There's WWE or TKO. There's SmackDown's new deal. There's a
I guess
big signing that dropped. Oh
we
my
could
god.
lump we can lump all of that in with the merger and the TV deal. It closed. I mean, it closed like before, like we were on break already. It closed like Monday or
September like 12. Yes, it was like
yeah.
September 12th or September 13th or something.
We could have covered it. I almost said like emergency pod, but I was like, no, Mila's gonna kill me.
Nigga, I don't work for them.
uh,
Leave that to the ringer guys.
but
Um
merger closed for WWE and UFC. and Endeavor, and they have become TKO Holdings. Really, really big deal. Um, I never thought in my day that I would see WWE or F or whatever, reach the heights that it has in the last decade. But we have essentially predicted that the big payback was coming, right? And
Hmm.
we said all of these moves that they're doing, all of these things that they're doing is to put the company in, and longtime listeners, they know that I've been talking about this for years. You know what I'm saying? Of they're not making these moves for no reason. They're not
Right.
doing these things for no reason. And we see the reason now. And I think, to me, with this merger, the potential, if they don't realize this potential, then it's a failure to me. I think that there's so much potential with, if they can get Dana White in line and stop having him say stupid shit about WWE in public, and have him, like, I know it's gonna be hard. It's easier said than done with Dana White, but if they could really have some really cool shit go down, it seems like the fighters and the wrestlers are excited about it at the very least. But I mean, Meelz, you're looking at like WWE UFC weekends where they just take over a whole fucking city. You feel me?
It's
Like,
weird because I don't really watch UFC. Um, and I feel like people who watch UFC don't really watch WWE. I feel like there maybe is some overlap, but I don't think there's enough overlap because of how essentially UFC has always been created as like we're the real stuff. Like what you watch over there is the fake stuff, and that's usually what Dana White is kind of like yammering on about. Like we're the real stuff. What you see over there is the fake stuff, and then WWE is like, we're not even. Listen, this is as real as it gets. The money prints the same exact way. Um, so
yeah, but
it's always
WWE has fashioned themselves on um entertainment, and I think
yeah.
that's why it kind of rubs the UFC folks the wrong ways, because like they are sports entertainment, but now they're crossing over into the realm of combat sports, so it's combat sports entertainment.
Yeah, and I'm it's interesting to see how this will kind of like all come together and kind of like what will come from this new like merger. It's the first time WWE is not owned by Vince McMahon ever. Um or any McMahon, to be honest with you. So it's definitely like this is clearly kind of like where the industry is going. But I don't know. The, I'm not really affected by it. I don't really feel affected by it. Um I don't really
We're not
think TKO
gonna
does anything for me.
we're not gonna see the effects of it until like Mania season. I think,
Mm.
like, deep Mania season, when you start seeing a couple of those, like, partnerships and advertisements and stuff like that, like, you'll probably start seeing ads on the ring mat. Probably see 'em more
Modelo?
on the turnbuckle. Hey, I mean, I'm just being honest, like, you'll start seeing it. You'll start seeing it everywhere pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be subtle, I think, and I think people are gonna obviously reject it because it's different and they're not used to seeing things like this. But it's going to be WWE positioning itself as, you know a different entity now. I think that it's in a different stratosphere, and I think that when you think about competition, I think that you look at now other wrestling companies being in competitions with each other, because I just don't think that there's competition here with what WWE is doing. I think that's over with. We could just stop having that conversation at this point.
I mean, you think so, but I'm pretty sure someone will try to bring it up. But yeah, there is no competition. We're at the Fab. Like it is kind of in the league of its own. We're operating on its own, and it's kind of in a different stratosphere just in general. So that's been the merger. And since the merger, to be honest with you, we've had a bunch of news that have felt like been results, but probably have been in the work since before that actual merger take place. But we got the new SmackDown TV deal. Um, I forgot it's was it 2.4 billion
Yeah.
over 5 years? 2.4 billion over 5 years. To return to the USA network. I'll be honest with you. SmackDown on USA. never felt like where SmackDown should be. SmackDown has always felt like a broadcast television show. And maybe that's because we grew up on SmackDown and UPN. Maybe that's because we grew up on SmackDown on CW. Maybe that's because the last number of years, probably the last year or two on SmackDown on Fox has been probably monumental for the company. This has really been the first time in a long time that SmackDown has definitively been the A show.
Yeah.
Higher ratings, bigger stars, better stories, kind of like everything working for them. So to see them go to USA, um, I'm not really a fan of it. I don't, but I feel like USA is a Denzel meme. It's like we walking away with something.
It's I get the strategy here. I think as they wait for, because here's the thing about SmackDown Meals is like, as much as we want to say that it is the A show, I think just internally it is still Raw. You know what I'm saying? Like it's still Raw. It's got the most episodes. It's got the most cachet. It's had the most moments. I think these last 2 years for SmackDown have been fantastic. Okay, no doubt about it. But it's still always going to be Raw. You know what I mean? And I think that SmackDown is the more malleable of the two shows in that SmackDown could be, it's been on Tuesday, it's been on Friday, it's been on Thursday, right? Like Raw has always been on Monday. It's never moved. You know what I'm saying? So like it can move around realistically because it's a more flexible show in that way. I think with USA, it's like we can't not have something on this network because if we don't have wrestling, we will die. Like
Yeah,
literally,
essentially.
literally, if we do not have WWE on our network, we will die. And I
There are
think,
no live sports on USA. This is the closest thing to live sports that USA Network has. Like,
yeah,
it is the only thing that's having them even contend in a space where just on the channel before it and the channel after it is NBA or NHL or MLB or really any other sport, to be honest with you. um, but USA, this is the only thing even close to a sport that it has. But Raw is probably keeping the lights on at USA Network, and maybe like NXT is like keeping the bathroom light on or something. But
NXT ain't keeping shit on, but I get it, and I think that it creates more conversation and question as to where NXT and Raw go because NXT was not part of that deal. They're paying a lot for SmackDown, and I think essentially you're paying a lot for Roman Reigns, and in the event that this happens in the next couple of months, Cody Rhodes as well, because that will be his show.
I feel like the stock people felt like it wasn't enough. That's what I heard in terms of the conversation. I think that's why the stock initially plummeted for TKO.
It's always gonna do that because like here's my thing, it's always gonna do that because unless they're gonna be on fucking Fox and USA simulcast, it's never gonna be good enough for it's always gonna the stock was always gonna drop. And I think that
Right.
people overreacting to that was just like, yeah, of course that's gonna be it, but it's still $2.4 billion and it's gonna bear fruit regardless whatever they do. It's not gonna be doing like 2.5 million every week, like it
No,
was.
it's definitely not. It's definitely fucking not.
The money makes up for that. The ad revenue will probably make up for that. You know what I'm saying? And you'll probably be you'll be seeing less MAGA commercials.
Well,
that
that's
that's
the real thing. That happened. That literally happened on SmackDown this week. Like the Fox News, the MAGA. I was like, oh nah, we got to get off this network
yeah,
like soon.
yeah. It's
Um,
Tyrus on there. Like they had to stop doing that shit. But I think that the real question comes from if SmackDown got that deal, what's Raw gonna get? And I think that's what investors would really be looking forward to, and really looking forward to seeing how that shakes out because I mean, essentially, it's looking like Raw might end up on a streamer. It's not going to end up on TV at all.
do you feel like that would be beneficial for Raw? Because I always feel like, I mean, currently how things are going. I mean, we currently have NFL on Amazon Prime Video and NFL on Peacock as well. I mean, I've been trying to. I don't watch football crazy, but I do tune in, and honestly, it looks good, and there are a number of people who tune in. But is it as fruitful as television? Like, how is television? Um, is it the like in the 2000s and 90s, like you had to be on television. Like there was no there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You weren't getting advertisers, you weren't getting broadcast to millions of people if you weren't on television. Now, um, it may not be the case, but also it's like, does that work for WWE's model? I feel like WWE is such a television show. For it to move to a streaming platform would first of all mean like, would it mean uninterrupted 3 hours of Raw?
I Well, here's the thing. I don't think it'll leave Mondays. And I think the biggest advantage that Raw has is that it's, of course, it's live every week. And if it goes to a streamer, it will be an unfettered, uninterrupted 200 minutes every single week that they will have a guaranteed 1 million people at least tuning into. And if they're on the ad tier, there'll be even more watching. And no other streamer has that other than like Amazon Prime with the NFL stuff on Thursdays, which I've heard has done very well for them. So say it goes to Amazon Prime. They already air NFL on Thursdays. That's an easy layup to put WWE promo in there, and vice versa if you're on the ad tier, because they'll still have they'll still have commercials. It'll just be us seeing what we would usually see in picture, but we'll just be seeing it live. You know what I'm saying? Like the wrestlers will just be doing their regular match. And the thing is with WWE is that like whether people want to admit it or not, like they're largely ahead of the curve when it comes to kind of emergent trends. They're kind of seeing it before it happens. And we joked about Tout back in the day, and it led the way for TikTok. And you see the numbers that WWE pulls on TikTok. And I think that putting the flag down for combat sports to air weekly on streaming with VODs available ASAP is a big W. Like my only worry for streaming is that you're pulling customers in so many directions with how to actually access WWE content and keep up with it. Like let's say Hulu loses VOD for Raw and SmackDown. I think they already said that they're going to lose that, and it goes to Peacock. But but Raw airs on Amazon. If I'm WWE, I'm eventually going to want to get out of that Peacock deal and move the library to a place where everything fits, like a Prime where everyone can catch up to everything quickly. Like people want less services and not more. So I think in the short term, it is going to be some growing pains with Raw if they go to a streamer. But in the long term, if they can get these deals correct and they get them right, I think it'll be really fruitful for them.
You know what? Now that you say it like that, I can understand that completely. But it'll be interesting to see kind of where it lands.
The
It'll
thing is,
be.
they go to Netflix, they go to Prime, they go to Max, anything.
You feel like it's definitely not going to be on USA?
Oh, it's not going to be on USA. Absolutely not. I think this is the mea culpa. It's the end of the road for TV for them. This will probably be the last TV deal SmackDown takes, and like I was just saying, like no other streamer can boast that they had, because you've seen Netflix testing live shows. They did the Chris Rock thing. I think they did the Love Is Blind reunion or Ultimatum reunion or some shit like that. Remember that whole kerfuffle where the stream didn't work last year and niggas was mad about it. Like a
Right.
lot of streamers are testing live, live to tape, live TV. I think that if they can put their flag down and they say, we've got the biggest show that's never going to stop moving, even if there's a fucking pandemic, they didn't stop. Every single week, you're going to tune into it. We got 20 million subscribers already. Let's say 5 million of them are wrestling fans or 2 million of them are wrestling fans. That's already a W because they're going to see their numbers spike every single Monday. Every single Monday, and that's going to be their test case. And I think that Amazon or any of these streamers could easily give them any amount of money that they wanted to because they don't have to pay their writers because their writers at WWE are not union. They're going to get paid already. Their producers are going to get paid. The camera people, that is something that they pay as well. This is a fully operational company without their money. You know what I'm saying? So like I think that's what they're gonna go for.
It'll be interesting to see how everything kind of shakes out with this TKO deal. I'd be interested to see if SmackDown goes to 3 hours because I can definitely see that. That's like the first thing that came to my mind when I was like, okay, it's back on USA. Opportunity for 3 hours.
Yeah, I could see SmackDown toying. Well, here's the thing about that. One thing we forgot to mention: they're gonna have specials on is it on NBC? I think, or is it
I
on
don't give
NBC?
a fuck about those specials. Like,
I think they'll make you give a fuck about the specials. I think there's
I
gonna be some
mean,
happening there.
I feel like definitely from the Saturday night main events that they had in the 2000s and stuff like that. Like, I definitely used to tune in. I remember seeing a boxing match between Evander Holyfield and Matt Hardy. I remember that. Um, So I have no doubt they'll make us tune in with various different things, but like I don't know, it's something about NBC, USA. It's like, and don't get me wrong, like I love NXT on USA. I love
Mm.
NXT just in general. Um, there's something about SmackDown that don't vibe with me on USA. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. It just don't vibe with me on the blue on USA. It's not working for me. But we'll see what happens from there.
I
Um,
think we'll learn to adapt as we have for
of,
Tuesday
of
night.
course, of course, of course. But
Remember we
with that, and
remember we had to figure out how to do our show with Tuesday night Smackdowns? That was just a terrible.
first of all, no, that was fucking awesome because Raw would air on Monday, SmackDown would air on Tuesday. We would record on Wednesday, and then we'd be done for the week.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. We changed it. We did change our release date. You're right.
We
But
would not even. We wouldn't have to. I mean, now because it's the malaise of Monday and Friday. Sometimes we'll tune into NXT. Sometimes we'll tune into AEW. Sometimes we'll do the malaise of that is over. I kind of wish it goes back on Tuesdays. To be real with you,
yeah,
I feel like the wrestlers themselves also would approve if it went back to Tuesdays.
I don't think it matters. They got them working it regardless. They
I
got
mean,
them.
yes, they're
They,
working. They're working insane hours regardless.
they were they back working for real now. Like that. Them last 2 years was a was a skid bid. They're working now. Do you want to and with releases comes unfortunate, or not release shit, with mergers comes unfortunate releases.
I mean, there you go.
And there were releases last week. Uh there were what,
Beyond
20 20.
beyond the corporate side, which also experienced a number of releases.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's go down I mean, some of them notable, some of them not so.
I got the list in front of me. I'm gonna call them out. We get some
Yeah.
quick thoughts on them. Okay, quick
Okay.
thoughts on them. Quick thoughts on the situation. Do we want to go? I can we can. I'll start with the nobodies on it. I don't want to say nobodies on NXT, but
Christ.
we don't know them. Word to Mariah
Please.
Carey. We don't know them. Sorry. Um, um, Abdai Fitzgerald, Brooklyn Barlow, Alexis Gray, Daniel MacArthur, Kevin Ventura Cortez, and Bryson Montana have been released from the PC. Essentially, I can't even say NXT.
Yeah, I think that we knew the edict. We've talked about it on the show. We've had Cornell talking about it on the show as well. If they don't see anything in 2 years, if they don't see anything in particularly 1 year in certain cases, then you got to go. And I think that I'm shocked that they have so many people still down there, but I'm guessing that the growth of a lot of the people there is probably promising, that they didn't feel as though they needed to cut a lot of them. But yeah,
I mean, they got a new tryout this week, so it's or last week or something along those lines. So they're still finding people in every big weekend where they're in a major city. They do tryouts there, so there's no shortage of people that they're hiring and sending to the PC to begin working.
hmm
As we will talk about later in the show. To be real with you, let's talk about the people that we do know. Start off with Quincy Elliott.
I never
Played
saw it for
himself.
him. Never saw it for him. I
He
mean,
played himself.
even before the Twitter stuff and being in all of that mess that he was in, I never saw it for him. He just wasn't good in ring.
I I agree. I also think I don't know. It's just we.
It's
I
cool
feel like
it's cool they gave him a shot. It's cool that he
yeah.
got on TV and they got to try that out. But anytime I saw him, I was like, I felt like Booker T when he was like, "Y'all feeling this?" Like Booker T was not feeling that shit.
I think he called him a that once, and I was like, Booker, come on, stop, come on. What that is USA. Um, Next one is Yulisa Leon.
Well, she said that she actually requested her release. So,
I don't know why. What was up with her? She was part of the. I mean, we call them the Latinas, so
yeah,
maybe that was.
I
It
will
was
say,
Melissa Leon and Pharrell's Valentino.
yeah, Valentina for Royce.
There we go.
I will say that like I felt as though like they were both really catching on. I don't feel like they ever got a real chance to um they never got a chance to really show off what they could do and like win some matches. You know what I mean? I felt like they've always been enhancement talent. I think Feroz to me had the most upside of the two. I thought she felt a little less awkward in the ring when I would watch her. But I hope they find something for you, Lisa, for Valentina. But you know, Lisa, she actually her father I think was a famous luchador. So I think she'll get back on her feet and be where she needs to be.
Ika Minjiro, Jack and Man.
Hey man. Hey, Drewski hand. It is what it is. They already got Akira Tozawa doing that same silly shit. So I
All
mean,
right, all right. We even gotta equate them. You know what I'm saying? They
Akira better.
separately. Nah, Akira Tozawa was amazing. Like Ika Minjiro, they never. It seems like they tried with him during like the 2020 NXT days. Like they tried. He would have like tag team with Kushida. I think he got an NXT cruiserweight shot, and I think he got maybe even a North American title shot at some time. But it never felt like they had any long term plans for him because his gimmick was a fucking jacket. So, and I don't think. I think with the Vince McMahon's of the stuff, maybe he finds something for him. But I don't know about Shawn Michaels and Triple H, and we're gonna learn about who H and who not H pretty soon. Um,
No, we gonna learn in this list who ate you.
Next one is Shanky. Poor Shanky. Never saw it, but Shanky.
Never saw it, man. You probably getting mad money too, bro. Hey, hey, is what it.
Amen. Dabakato.
Yes, sir. Come on, come on.
Dabakato, man. Come on. From classic moments such as
Fuck all that. Go to
I
the
had
strip
no
club
answer.
in
I
Orlando.
had no answer.
Go to the strip club in Orlando. Stand in front of the door, nigga. Get out of here.
He could be a good Netflix heavy, you know what I'm saying? Get his ass kicked by Luke Cage or some shit like that. I don't know. Um if Luke Cage was still on Netflix. Um Next one, surprising, because she's been tenured herself. Dana Brooke. And this is proving.
Oh, I
Don't
just
go
yawned.
to
I just yawned when you said Dana Brooke.
listen. This is proven. If you ain't got no real plans, stay your ass away from NXT. If you ain't got nothing cooking in the oven, don't say I want to go back down to NXT and figure this out. Or if they send you back down to NXT to try to figure this out, don't do that. Because
It seemed like sending her back down was more like a like sinister than sending anybody else down. It was more like H was just like, I tried. I really tried. When the crowd at NXT is booing, they'll cheer anything. NXT crowd and the PC will cheer anything, Meelz. They booed her doing an injury angle, and I said she's got to go. There's just nothing being earned here for her. You know what I'm saying? Like it just wasn't working. It wasn't working.
Dana Brooke, I don't know what to say other than you've been hired for 10 years. She had
She
potential
was
in the
there
beginning and then it
she was there longer than Hulk Hogan was in the WWE. I don't think anyone should be fucking like she's there longer than like Austin was. They get like he's or not Austin, but like you know what I mean. Like most main eventers. Like come
no,
on,
of course.
man.
Okay. Mansoor and Mace. While we were at it,
Whatever,
let's just group them together.
whatever. I think that if there's two people I want to hear less from about backstage dealings, it's these two. I don't
I
care.
think I'm not against them having fun with it because there are people who are not having fun with it. So I'm not opposed to them if they want to have their Discord community and have their thing. I'm not opposed to that for them. I like seeing when wrestlers don't take themselves seriously and try to recant their experiences and stuff like that, because realistically there's nothing serious you could take about it. It was male models. Um, so there's nothing. So I'm okay with that, and they seem to be okay with being let go, and they seem to kind of like news on the wall based on their stories. Triple H was like, "No, don't put them on TV. We're gonna repackage them," and then pretty much said like, "We're not gonna repackage them." um, Speaking of being taken off TV, becoming a chatty patty, got Rick Boogs,
Fuck 'em.
someone who I was never a fan. I want to make that completely clear. If I
Yeah.
haven't made it abundantly clear in Discord, I never saw it for Rick Boogs. I thought he should be a firefighter. I thought this business is not about how much you can deadlift. I thought this is not how much muscles on muscles you can have and how good
But
you look.
but I mean, when you say that, when you agree with somebody saying they're taking the testosterone out of wrestling, I mean, you gotta wipe your hands with them. You're in the Jackson Riker category. I know what you believe in.
Son said when Vince got out of the biz, my shit changed completely. I was like, you think so?
You think,
You,
nigga?
you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Did,
He said it was a backstage political hit. No, it was in front of your face.
we ain't doing that boog shit no more. I mean, they tried again. They had him deadlifting the Miz, but as you know, the Miz can't save everybody. So it is what it is.
Deadlift that CDL manual, my nigga.
That application, deadlift that application. Um,
Next name.
Speaking of CDLs, top dollar,
He might go work for the CFL, the Canadian Football League. He should just go do that. He could
bruh.
listen,
The
man.
only member from his team that was released. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does.
And he, as much as he tries to deny it, I mean, it's as clear as day. BFAB was not let go. I'm pretty sure they're gonna find something for Adonis to do. He'll probably be on NXT Underground or something one day. Um, what can we say? I mean, Top Dollar is not. We were not fans.
Man, flopped over the top rope, and Michael Cole has gave him hell every week since then.
We weren't fans. Me and him have had Twitter spats before. I still don't think he can dress, and the rapping is
I'm,
negligible. It doesn't matter if you can rap. You just
I'm
yeah,
gonna keep
yeah.
it a buck. From what I've heard, people, it's not only the people watching TV weren't fans, but people backstage weren't fans either.
Yeah. Did the signings to you feel less about like budget and more kind of just like, let's get the people who don't want to be here out of here, and let's get the people that like the people backstage don't like out? Like these releases seemed very like, other than the PC one, seemed very much like we come on, just to get them out of here. It didn't seem like it was like the corporate releases. It felt like it was just like, let's just get these like people that's not doing anything out of here.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it didn't have the shock and awe of like someone. I mean, there's a couple shock and awes, but it didn't have the real shock and awe of like that brother was just on TV and now he's gone.
Yeah, not
Um,
to me. Not
yeah,
to
it
me.
wasn't like a Jeff Hardy or something. Next one up, Aaliyah,
All right.
longest tenured something.
All right. Moving on.
Uh, all right, Riddick Moss. Even less to say than Aaliyah, to be honest with you.
Yeah, moving on.
Um, Emma, who was like, they announced Elimination Chamber in Australia, and she was like, "Yippee! I'm excited to go." And then
It's
an hour later,
Yippee is crazy.
she said, "Yippee! I'm excited to go." And then an hour later, said, "Never mind, I've been let go." And I was like, "Damn."
I am no longer with WWE. Period. The period to me was the craziest part. I'm like, did
What do
y'all
you
just?
feel about what do you feel about the tweets? I'm no longer with WWE. That seems to be the new edict.
I I, I don't. I, I don't know. It's funny. I think it's funny that everyone had the same line. It reminds me of like those AEW group sessions on Twitter whenever somebody talks about their locker room and everybody comes to save them. It reminds me of that.
I'm no
Except
longer with WWE.
I am no longer
That's how
with WWE.
that's how we found out Mogram. And we go into another one who found out this way, Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
who was supposed to wrestle in NXT No Mercy this Saturday. It
They
was
said,
like,
"You know what?
sorry about that.
You know what? Never mind."
Yeah, they were like, we didn't care about this anyway.
He actually
Um,
requested his release, a year ago, and, they brought him back on TV when Triple H came back into power, and, to be fair, they tried to do a lot of things with him. They put him on TV. He was going toe to toe with Gunther. They did a lot with him in that year
it
just to
seems
kind
like
of.
they wanted him back at this point because they didn't let him go, and they are actually trying to negotiate something like, how can we have you back? It was
Yeah.
very clear when he requested his release, he had some sort of dispute with Vince McMahon about creative,
Mhm.
and even someone got to a fight and was just like, I don't need this anymore. I want my release. He was off TV for several months. Eventually, did return, and like you said, has been incorporated in various things. Whether he's been in number one contender matches, championship matches, all types of other things. So he
He was
was
facing
included.
Seth. He was facing Seth. Like he was in there with Seth Rollins. He was in there with some of the top guys and main roster and on NXT. And
Yeah,
I mean, he
but
even got wins against some of the top guys on NXT. So it's like, I think of all of the names on this list, I think everyone pretty much agrees that we're going to be seeing this guy in another company pretty soon when he's able to. I think the non competes are up in December. Like you'll it's pretty much a lock that he'll be probably in AEW with Brian
yeah,
Danielson.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Next one is Elias. To be honest, same thing as Boogs. Like,
He got a good knee. He got a good knee.
hey
Everyone,
man,
he got a good running knee. Like, well, what else?
he seemed to be a good sport about it because it seems like he wants to be back at some point.
They did. They did everything for Elias. I can't say that there isn't any other than him being off
Vince
TV.
did everything for Elias.
He had a iTunes album. He had a bunch of stuff that like realistically like was way above his pay grade for what he was doing. And I think that you always need to have. And I think one thing that Vince always recognized that I think the Triple H needs to recognize too is that like you can't always have like greatest wrestlers of all times just doing segments all the time. You gotta have like an Elias doing stuff, and I think to some extent it's why he has Miz doing what Miz is doing, and why he has Grayson Waller doing what he's doing. But they just they follow the same type of act where they both just host shows. You know what I'm saying? Like Elias was able to get over through antagonizing or bigging up the crowd through song and music and stuff like that. That's something that's still important. And I think Elias did, as much shit as we talk about him, he did garner reactions based off of that. And you can't be mad at that.
That's true. That's true. Next one, Shelton Benjamin, brought back in 2016, 17.
Mhm.
Um, modicum of success, tag team champions with Chad Gable, tag team champions with Cedric Alexander. Um, we love Shelton, and he's like, listen, I've been here before. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing stopping me now. You know what I'm saying?
Put that
Um,
suit on, my nigga. Like, what are you doing, man? Put that suit on, bro. Go to NXT,
hey,
man.
listen, Shelton Benjamin? Nah, I mean, he's still he is still a super athlete. That man is still incredible. To be
Go
honest with you,
go
I
help
don't know.
go help Melo. Like, what was crazy to me? Not crazy, but you know what to me showed off his maturity was that recent interview he had with I think Satin, I think, out of character or something like that. And he said that at times, he was the best athlete, but I was never the best WWE superstar in terms of he could never talk, he could never really connect with the crowd in that same way. And I thought it took a lot of maturity for him to finally admit that, you know what I'm saying, and admit it publicly. So that's why I think this is not a hard pill for him to swallow, but it's also something where I think that he could be like in a lot of ways, in my opinion. And this isn't like saying like, yo, put that suit on, go be a producer. Isn't like it's not to be
Like
facetious.
the
It's that
like the Robert Roods of the world. Robert
yeah,
Roode is like, you ain't gonna see me on this list.
it's the younger crowd, the younger people coming in need to know, even if they don't have it all there athletically, they need someone to teach them that. And you know what I'm saying? There's some people there that can talk, but just don't have it all there athletically. Like imagine a Shelton coming in to help a Mello. Or imagine Shelton coming in to fucking help Jade Cargill. You know what I'm saying? That's when they put that suit on and come help these new people. You know what I mean? Like they might
I
not see
feel
it for you as a talent, but definitely as a producer or an agent for sure.
I feel like he probably was already kind of that, whenever he was backstage.
Yeah.
Um, but they probably was just like, yeah, we can't keep you, bro. We might bring you back, but we can't keep you currently. So we got to let some people go.
Mhm.
Next one is Dolph Ziggler, who longest tenured on this list, has been there 20 years. This is 19th year in WWE. He's gone through every gimmick change possible. He was a caddy for Kerwin White. He was a male cheerleader. And then eventually he became Dolph Ziggler in various iterations of Dolph Ziggler, where it was like young muscle uh, kid to fake Shawn Michaels to Braun Breaker's low key apprentice. I mean, not apprentice, mentor in the ring, kind of getting him to the next level.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler has done it all. I've talked about this in the Discord, but he looked checked out a long time ago in terms of
Yeah.
just kind of like realizing that there was nothing going to be for him. He would be available if there was any opportunity presented to him, he would knock it out the park. But he was clear that WWE have kind of like passed him by on kind of like his relevancy. But he was amazing, and he still is amazing. To be honest with you, he can still go.
He can still go if he wants to, for sure. I think that he's another one where it's like there's a lot of things he could do to help
He's only
people.
43.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'm saying there's a lot he could do. He could help people, but he could still go. You know what I'm saying? He could still go in the ring. Um, do you think I can't see him like signing long term to any other company? I could be wrong, but I can't see him being like, I'm doing 5 years at Impact or 5 years at AEW. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't seem like that's the type of that's his steez no more. Like think about all the money he probably was making just sitting and catering in
I
WWE.
feel, but I feel like I feel like maybe if he was like 48, maybe. But considering he hasn't wrestled that much over the last number of years, he's probably itching to wrestle a little bit more now. I could see him signing maybe like 3-year deal,
Mhm.
um, go until maybe he's 46 or something. I can't see him in a. It's like Johnny Mundo, Johnny Nitro. Like he
Yeah,
signed to AEW, but it's not like he's going to be used forever. Like he's not even used most weeks, to be honest with you. They could just be in backstage segments yucking it up. Um, I could see that in the world of Dolph Ziggler, but I think Dolph Ziggler, if he did sign to AEW, would be a good signing. I think he's someone similar to everyone from WWE who gets it from the standpoint of like not just wrestling, but understands the showmanship of it all and how to present, and he can also present that to younger kids. Like, he could be the long lost members of the Guns. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Dolph
Let,
Gun or something.
let's get
Ziggler's Gun.
let's get through this last one because like literally I want to applaud WWE on like what they're doing with this new signing because they literally just posted a video of her walking into the PC. So let's just get through this last signing right now.
This last one was released. Was it last week? Last week Friday. Again, opposite from all the other releases. Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle.
Been off TV for as long as we have not been doing the show. By the way,
You got the last we heard of him
he was getting
was
groped.
at to be honest at Penn Station, which doesn't seem was it Penn Station or something along those lines. But Matt Riddle, he had
JFK. It was JFK.
JFK. Listen, hey, JFK. But what I'll say there is it's just a bad look when we got everything going on. And it's a consistent bad look. Like he's been nothing but bad looks. And it's clear that WWE was punishing him because he has not won a single match since he's been back. He's gotten beat up by Solo Sikoa for months. He got beat up by Gunther for months. And he was about to get beat up by Drew for months.
And now it's gonna be Kofi. um, what a big waste of talent this guy is. And I'm not saying this because he fell off or he sucks or whatever. Like he's just he seems like a sucky individual, just all around. I think that for a company that took you back, not even took you back, but kept you there after you had some pretty serious allegations levied towards you and a lawsuit that was levied towards you, and they still put you on primetime television, and you still managed to piss off Brock Lesnar multiple times, and you still managed to piss off Goldberg multiple times, and you still managed to piss off Seth Rollins, or at least your wife did, and nearly fucked you out of some money with that guy until literally last year, and you still proceed to kind of like not keep your nose clean and not keep your head down, and you had to be off TV for a large amount of time, and they still kept you on their TV, whether it was in a situation of losing or not. You still were there with one of their biggest stars of all time, Randy Orton, who I think in a lot of ways probably saved your ass from being fired because of the things that you guys did last year with RK Bro, which admittedly was a moment, got you a tag team championship, got you on WrestleMania, got you on all the big shows. Fantastic shit there.
The irony of maybe 15 years later, Randy being the one to help bring this guy around, because Randy was the one back in the day who was the problem child, is not lost on me. And it's interesting to see with Randy gone, kind of like where his career kind of like really ended up. You really kind of see how big Randy was and kind of like a focal figure and also kind of like a grounding presence, and kind of like letting him know like, yo, cut that shit out. Like, don't do that. Like, you're with me, you're part of the biz. This is how you succeed in the biz. And then as soon as Randy's gone, like,
You
it just
spiral.
never panned out. Yeah, he spirals.
And you shouldn't be dependent on a grown man to make sure that you're keeping your nose clean. I think that's legitimately what it is. He should be able to do this shit on his own. But I think that a lot of things were telling about where they saw him, just the way he lost. The niggas he was losing to. He lost to Ludwig Kaiser, Meelz. Did we forget that happened a month ago? He was losing to everybody. And I think it was less of punishment, more like, bro, get your shit together. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your shit together. And, I think that I do not want to imagine the stuff that they've probably been keeping us not abreast of the stuff that they were dealing with Matt Riddle. That if I feel as though he went to another company, it would definitely be in our faces of what he was getting down with. But I just look at it and I'm like, I was a fan of the guy in NXT. I thought that he had a lot of talent coming out of it. I think we were all excited for Riddle versus Brock and Riddle versus Goldberg. Meelz, by the time we got to the main roster, them two motherfuckers didn't even want to speak to this guy because of the shit he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And I think I said on the show before, like Vince loves a shit stir. You know what I mean? Like he loved that type of shit. But it's a new regime, baby. And I think that as much as Riddle was H couldn't do no more for the guy, and he had to be let go. And it's really sad to see, but you know, not much to say there, bro. He's out.
Swim good. That's all I got to say about that. Swim good.
Yeah.
And hopefully he finds an opportunity to kind of like turn things around, because it was just a bad look at the end, and it still seems like a bad look now, and it looks like it's always been a bad look from stuff that we've heard. Um, but with firings, there have been some hirings lately. This woman, one of the most dominating figures in sports entertainment, this woman has has truly made a name for herself in a very, very short time. Nia Jax was rehired, and I still have questions why.
Really?
I mean,
Been hired though. She's been back
yeah,
since January. Like that's what was confusing to me was that she's had merch. She literally had merch since January. Like she's been back. I guess they just been waiting to put her on TV.
she I get why she's back and I get the role that she plays, but judging from last night's Raw, she's still terrible to me. Like, she's still very much so terrible and still looks like she's hurting people. Um, Whether this will be a good signing or not is unseen, hasn't been proven yet. But I understand her role on television and what she can do for someone like Rhea Ripley. But I would have rather got it somewhere else. Nia Jax has a lot to prove to me. Um, but let's get to
Asuka
the
seems.
actual signing.
Here's
Go
my
ahead.
thing. Asuka, Charlotte, and a bunch of people backstage love her. So it's like it's hard for like it's easy for us to dislike what we see in the ring, but like I think just in terms of just like something that we just it's just irrefutable evidence that we just can't really fight is that like she has her fans backstage. Like there are top girls that like her there. There are I'm guessing a lot of people there that really fuck with her, and I think that more than anything they probably like for her to be back in the backstage. So like, hey, wrestlers are different. They're different, but yeah, let's get to this new signing. It was announced a week ago that after her final match on Rampage against Chris Statlander, that Jade Cargill would be finishing up with AEW. The rumor came out last week, or what was it, 2 weeks ago, that Jade had signed in principle to WWE, and it was confirmed today through ESPN, through WWE themselves. They've been tweeting about her all day on their channels. Jade Cargill is
You
now in
better
the
talk about it.
Jay Cargill is in the WWE. I have not. I'll say this right now before we start about just all of the what this says about whatever. I have not seen a full court press like this for at
Since
least
Cody.
since Cody, and at least for a female wrestler since Asuka,
And
right?
this is way more than Oscar. They have got all channels down. They said we got them on TikTok, Instagram. You can find her anywhere. We wanted to let you know that Jade Cargill is a big deal. It was announced first on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
It was made clear. She again like has been on socials all day. Whether I think they understood the conversation last week because there was a lot of chit chatter about where Jade was. It was essentially Jade Watch last week because people are like, she's at the PC. She's not at the PC. She signed to this. She's going to be on NXT. She's not going to be on NXT. She's going to be in WWE. She's not going to be on the main roster. I think they understood how much the conversation was building around her. And again, WWE's not only their communications team, but their social team understands that, conversation that's happening. And then also maybe they're in our Discord because we have had several debates on where Jade ends up, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit here today. You can hear it on War Report of how those debates went, to be honest with you. Of kind of like where Jade will kind of go. But listen, she's in WWE.
Yeah,
And this is where she's supposed to be. And
crazy.
I applaud her for she had her initial tryout, did not make it. Um, went grinded a little bit, albeit in the other company, um, and managed to find her way to WWE nonetheless. And now she's making a bag. It's a multi-million-dollar deal. She got M's.
Yeah.
That means they invest in her, which means they expect quite a bit. Um, but
I get.
two,
Did we get down to it? Like, I guess.
they value her in a way in the presence that she had and the superstar that we've all said, and
She could
everybody
be.
is like, no, she's not a superstar, she can't wrestle. It's like, who the fuck cares?
Here's
If
my thing.
WWE was about the wrestling, go ahead.
Here's my thing. The whole thing about Jade Cargill is, we've said it here before. The in ring hasn't been there. You know, it hasn't been there, and I think that a lot of people are doubting her on those merits without a developmental presence that she could have. I think Cyrus says it best about AEW all the time is that the level of competition is significantly lower. There just aren't that many workers there that could develop a talent like a Jay Cargill from the ground up. I mean, here you want to, you could talk shit about anybody, on WWE, but those women get results and they get attention. And I think we got to go to We got to go to the Beckys, the Charlottes, and I think even bigger than that. I mean, you got to you when you look at Jade Meelz, you have to look at the elephant in the room here, and it's Bianca Belair. You have to look at I said it before. There's no way you look at how they've treated Bianca Belair and not say, "I want that. I want that." You see that shit over there? I want that. And I think this is a huge indictment to the development that they had for not only just a woman's wrestler, a wrestler, but just a black woman in general, of how they've treated and carried Bianca for the past 4 years, to say, if they can do that for me, I'm willing to do whatever the hell it takes to get to that level. And I think if she signed, that's what she's gonna do. There's no conversation to have about what she did before. There's no conversation to have about if she was a star before she stepped into the ring, if she wasn't a star before she stepped into the WWE ring. She's a star right now because they're making her a star right now, because that's what the fuck they do. I think before I get to my next step, what do you think about that, Meelz?
I think she is. I think she's been undeniable for a long time, and I think the reality of it is, the world has seen that she's undeniable for a long time. However, I think it can really be, ultimately, there are two people. When you run the business, you run the show. And under Tony Khan, um, she wasn't really necessarily promoted as a star. I think she was recognized as a star because everyone recognized her as a star.
She was
How could
recognized
you?
as a star because we kept saying
People
that
kept saying it. We kept saying that she's a star, absolutely, because we could see it within her. Like we've noticed this. We've seen the talent. We've watched this for years, so we've seen it. However, I don't think she was valued because of her lack of in ring, acumen in AEW. And I think that holds a lot of weight in AEW because they make sure, like, oh, okay, like we got to make sure that their top guys are ring guys. Their top guys are wrestlers. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and she never really fit the bill with that, so she was never really afforded the opportunities like the other ones. And to be honest with you, most women in AEW aren't. To be honest,
Yeah.
they get one segment per show. They do not have enough time to develop. They have not time to get in the ring. They don't have enough time to do anything. So by her virtue of starting in AEW and getting as far as she got, I applaud her for that, because to have that match she had with Chris Statlander, which wasn't a bad match, off of wrestling maybe once every 4 weeks for the last like 3 years,
Mhm.
she can definitely learn something. But now we got her some good ass teachers, bro. We got her an actual system. We got her some discipline. We got her some getting her the keys to success. I look at Dominic Mysterio and where he started in 2020. He started at the same time as Jade started, by the way.
Mhm.
Um, and I look at that match he had last night against Dragon Lee. I'm like, oh brother, they
So
gonna
good.
turn this. Yeah, they're gonna turn this lady into a star. They're gonna turn this lady into a star.
Yeah. What do you feel about the what I call the full court press, so to speak, of what WWE is doing today? What do you feel about that? That to me is just like, if that's how TKO is rolling, yeah.
But I think that's how they, especially with, um, that's how realistically they rolled with not even just the big signings like this. I mean, they did it with Cody, they're doing it with Jade, but they've also done it for Undertaker's 20th. They've done it for John Cena's 20th. They've done it for so many different things within the company. Oh, like the month for Rey Mysterio, something along those lines. They clearly have campaigns and goals they want to reach, and programs and sponsors and all this other stuff like that. The company is way different than it was before. It is no longer a wrestling company. It is a media conglomerate. It is,
Yeah.
they do things. You know what I'm saying? So this full court press, I'm not surprised. But I love to see it. They got one picture of Jade and they've been showing that shit on the timeline for the entire day.
Well, now they got video, and I
Now they
and I,
got video. And now she's there in the flesh.
I would imagine there's a lot of I think it's content day for her. It's content day for her. They got her doing interviews for fucking A&E specials that ain't even come out yet. I know
Right?
I know how this works. She's gonna be there all day doing content for
She's
them.
gonna listen. My favorite part was they asked Tiffany Stratton about Jade. They're like, "What do you think about Jade possibly signing?" And Tiffany Stratton said, "I've never seen her in the ring, but she looks good, so I fuck with her. She
Listen,
looks,
man.
she's a baddie to me."
From,
But go.
from
I want to.
the,
How about this? How about I ask you a question?
okay.
I want to ask you this question, and maybe this is the main question that we go for. Is this considered a fumble by AEW?
I think that a lot of people who hold water for them will act like it isn't and say stuff like, well, she's probably really close with Tony and Tony granted her release and didn't sign her extension, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's all well and good, but you don't sign that extension without noticing or knowing that A, your talent wants to go somewhere where they can be properly promoted, and B, that you have nothing else for them. And I think that it takes a lot for Tony to notice that for sure. I think as the owner of a company, but it also makes me think like you couldn't find nothing to do with her, right? But you could find something to do with Soraya every goddamn week. You feel what I'm saying? You couldn't find anything to do with her. Meelz, she never got to wrestle any of the top women in AEW. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? How is that not a fumble? How could you not have developed her to get ready for at least a fucking Britt Baker match or a Tony Storm match? You had her facing Marina Shafir. You don't know me.
3 times, by the way. She faced Marina Shafir a lot.
Taya Valkyrie. I'm like, that shouldn't have been where she started. It should have been something that happened while she was facing the AEW title or, the
and,
title
and,
holder or
and,
something.
and to be clear, the week after she left, Chris Statlander gets booked in a match with Britt Baker for the TBS Championship.
I don't see how you don't see that this is, what I'm saying, a bad idea or a fumble. I mean, I think you look at this and you look at Cody. I think my take is that this could potentially be a bigger fumble than Cody because of the potential that Jade Cargill has. You could have a second Charlotte, a second Bianca Belair. You know what I'm saying? You could have another you that crossover ability. The way that she fucking looks, red carpets, ESPYs. These are things that are in her immediate future, Meelz. That could have been in AEW. How is it not a fumble? You gotta admit it. Just call a spade a spade. I saw somebody say this morning that introducing Jay the way that they're doing today is was a bad thing. It's basically killing her off before she starts. What? Why? Why wouldn't you?
They have no idea how things work in real life.
Why
They're
wouldn't the money they probably paying this woman? They got to. The hell are you
and
talking about?
and that's kind of like, so that was my thought, kind of like even on the debate of like where Jade lands, right? Realistically, could she end up in NXT? Sure. But to
She
be
beautiful.
honest with you, when I saw that multi-million-dollar tag, I was like, oh, she can't be on NXT. Because you don't pay someone millions and have them wrestling essentially people who are also fighting for their own spot. So I do think that she's main roster bound. Will I feel like she'll get trained in PC? For sure. But I absolutely 100% feel like you can be trained and you can also be featured at the same damn time.
Dom Mysterio. Dom Mysterio.
Dominic Mysterio, right there. Someone who literally we've seen develop right in front of our eyes from the amount of reps that they got. Jade Cargill, she gonna have to go with the best of them. She gonna have
Mhm.
to take some Charlotte. Charlotte gonna slap her in the back of the head one time, and she gonna nah. But she gonna have to take that slap. Um,
You trying to get racial?
no. I feel like Charlotte's mad aggressive when she knows she's in a ring with someone who's like
Could take her spot.
supremely, yeah, and also just supremely talented. But yes, I feel like she gets very aggressive in the ring.
But listen, it's big time. It's big deal. It's big movements. I think that they. I don't care to. I don't care where she ends up because wherever she ends up, she's gonna be a fucking force to be reckoned
I
with. I don't.
agree. I agree. It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter about. It doesn't matter about if it's Tuesday nights, if it's fucking Friday, if it's Monday. It doesn't matter where she goes. She's gonna be the biggest deal, or at least if it's Raw or SmackDown, she's gonna be one of the biggest deals on the show. I think that. I mean, if you had to ask me, I've always said that she should get a Kevin Owens bid on NXT and then move up to the main roster. Why not? Get a Kevin Owens bid. She's up there for what, 3 months? How long was Kevin Owens on NXT? 6 months?
December to I
July?
want to say like yeah, maybe like June.
Yeah, I mean, she could do a Kevin Owens bid 4 or 5 months there. I don't think that would hurt anybody. I think that people would tune into NXT. I think people would tune into NXT wherever it goes to see her on there. I think that you definitely, the only thing with NXT is that the women's talent on there, it's a logjam because it's like you already got Lyra, you got Cora's on the way back, you got Roxanne, you got Tiffany, Becky's on the show now, but then you got Becky facing off with Jade Cargill. But if you put her on Raw, you got her facing off with Rhea Ripley. You put her on SmackDown, I wouldn't put her on SmackDown. You know what? I don't do that because you got to run into the EST. I don't think we're ready for that face off yet. Wait for the Royal Rumble. I think that would be the
I would put her on Raw. I would put her on Raw based on how active in ring Raw is, um, where you
that. Can
really get the reps.
I tell you about something I heard?
Ooh, yes.
I heard from a birdie that the reason that Becky is working NXT is because she doesn't, well, I've heard this, that she doesn't want to take time off, but she doesn't want to work with Rhea or Shayna or Naya right now.
Mm.
They want to take time off. That's what I heard.
Do you think that she could run into the Big J?
I definitely think that I'm definitely not sure, in my source, no one's really clear on why she doesn't want to work. I can see why she doesn't work with Rhea. I could also see why she doesn't want to work with Shayna because they have zero chemistry together. But I can see why she for sure doesn't want to work with Nia. You know what I'm saying? I think that for
She
Rhea,
loves all her limbs where they currently at.
yeah, like I think with Rhea, it's not the time yet. And I think with NXT, it's about her getting somebody ready to be on the main roster for her to face when they get there. But I'm not mad at what Becky's doing right now. But I think that if she does face off with Jade Cargill in NXT, that's huge. I don't I do I necessarily think Becky would mind losing that? I don't think that she should. I think that, come up off it. But, you know, it just is what it is. I think this is one of the biggest signings, most talked about of the year. I think that if you're in AEW and you're upset and you're frustrated and you are one of their top acts, I'm not talking about like Brian Pillman fucking Jr. or somebody like that. I think you look at this and you say, that's what I want that. I want that.
MJF,
I can't see him leaving.
but I can't, but I can also see. I feel like now you've seen this twice, and you've seen the recency because like Cody shit, you might have forgot about it. You're like, oh, they did give Cody they did clear out WWE access and put all his shit there. They did give him a whole documentary. They did give him, but you might have forgot it. Now they've done this shit twice, and MJF, I could see him not leaving because he's essentially the big fish in a little pond. He getting paid nonetheless. He getting paid. But in terms of like career development,
Yeah, yeah.
he not getting that in AEW. He's gone where he's gone as far as he's gone in AEW. Unfortunately. He's turned heel, he's turned face. We've seen both. When WWE, especially Undertaker's talking about MJF,
Yeah.
they
That's it.
they
That's Undertaker doing a little bit of
a little bit of business.
high school recruiting.
H can't talk about it, but I can.
Listen, before we get out of here, um, Tony Khan's doing press for the pay-per-view that I forgot that they were having this Sunday. Adam
Wrestle Dream.
Adam Cole injured himself last week.
I mean, he's not so
I don't
much
think
injured that he's not. he's not so much injured that he's not taking indie bookings, so he can't be that injured.
But that booking's down the line though. This booking is on Sunday. Tony is at from Fightful. Tony said Tony Khan's asked about Adam Cole's injury, and he says as of now the match is still on. They'll address the injury on Dynamite. This guy just can't get right, bruh. He just can't be honest. How much you want to bet they're gonna put the stairs in his on his ankle and hit him with the stairs in the ankle, and he's gonna be MJF having to go it alone or some shit like that?
He Tony Khan is going to shoot himself in the foot for not being transparent with the people that he should be transparent with. He's going to shoot himself in the foot from dodging a lot of questions, and people are going to lose trust in him. His fans are going to lose trust in him, and clearly they already have because they ain't even showing up to the fucking shows anymore. But people
Bro,
in general are just going to have mistrust in him.
Jade is gonna be in a 40,000 seat stadium, and she's gonna say, "Wow, they didn't even invite her to Wembley, bro."
No, bro. They're like, you clean up on the Rampage a week after.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's a fumble. Yeah, fuck that. It's a fumble.
It's a
You didn't even
fumble,
invite her.
bro.
You didn't invite her to Wembley.
We
Yeah.
can see into the future, bro. Unless something major happens to Jade Cargill, it's a fumble. It just is what it is.
All right, two things before we get out of here. Um, First off, make sure you go check out that Ilya Dragunov interview. It's on our Patreon and it's also on our channel. You guys probably saw that come across your
It's
come
on
across your
YouTube
feed.
as well. Just upload a couple videos on YouTube, so make sure you
Oh
tune
yeah,
into that as well.
it on YouTube as well. Shout out to Meelz, shout out to Cyrus. Great job, you guys. But also, major change is coming to the A show, and coming up with the new way that we do our shows and the way that we kind of record everything. We decided to give our patrons a little bit of an incentive going forward. We're going to actually be doing our show recaps on Patreon only, and then coming in the next 2 weeks. So after next week's show is prediction show. The week after that, our show reviews are actually going to be Patreon only, and we're going to do our general recaps on our main on our public show. So once again, $5 down, get yourself on that Patreon. You'll be able to hear our thoughts on the shows. And yeah, I think this will be really cool. I think it'll be cool to kind of take, because I think just even in our Discord already, I'm usually not talking when you guys are like watching the shows, or I'm not like watching them, and I'll be able to kind of get my candid thoughts out, and Meelz, you'll be able to get your candid thoughts. We'll be able to argue and stuff like that, and we'll be able to give our patrons a little bit more bang for their buck on that sense. So 2 weeks our show reviews will be Patreon only. Shout out to everybody that subscribes already. Shout out to everybody in the Patreon. So thank you guys. And yeah, this was our first episode back, pretty lengthy episode. I'm glad to be back, glad to be talking to Meelz again. And yeah, we'll be back next week with a preview prediction of WWE Fastlane, which is a card. Honestly, Meelz is shaping up to be pretty special. I mean, John Cena's on the card. We got some pretty cool matches are already set there, and yeah.
I love it. It's good to be back, and yeah, we'll see you next week with more of the A Show.
All right, y'all. Peace out. See you next week.